How you doing? It's always nice to be here with my ripe self. I'm not old anymore. Nowadays, I ripe. R-I-P-E. Yes. And whatever I'm going to do for you is what is happening for us. If I do it, you would feel it and you would know it. This one is for lovers only. If you are in love, don't even try to do it. This one is from me to you, my lover. You have to help me sing. You have to sing it. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Oh, let's have a good time. Oh, let's have a good time. My lover, I had to mention in my confession to you, my lover, I must discuss what we should and shouldn't do. My lover, a good relation is a relation based on trust. My lover, we too jealous and suspicious, it's outrageous and ridiculous. Because we messing up in mind. How we messing up in mind. Sing, oh, let's have a good time. My lover, my lover. Oh, let's have a good time. Listen, well, listen to me. Oh, let's have a good time. Me lover, me lover. Oh, let's have a good time. Me lover. I used to worry about you having a second hand. My lover, I need to help me fulfill my duty as a man. My lover, you know it's stupid, we're really stupid, but true. My lover, it's so amusing to hear abusing and accusing. It's so confusing and only messing up the mind. It's only messing up the mind. Me lover, me lover, me lover, me lover, me lover. Let's have a good time. Me lover, me darling. Oh, oh. Let's have a good time. Have a good time. What darling? My lover. Oh, oh. Want to be good time. Lover. My lover. My love too precious and too delicious to lose. My lover, you too vital and too special to abuse. Me lover. What good for Ram good is good for Bianca and Goosey too. Me lover. You got the pagan, the baby together. When you out yonder, protect the player. I don't go messing on the mind. Don't go messing on the mind. Me lover, me darling, me lover, me lover, me lover, me lover, me lover. Let's have a good time. Oh no, oh no, oh no. Oh, let's have a good time. Oh no, oh no. You lover. Oh, oh, oh. Good time. Me lover, my love too precious and too delicious to lose. Me lover, you too vital and too special to abuse. Me lover, what good for Ram good is good for Bianca and Goosey too. Me lover, you got the pagan, the baby together. When you out yonder, protect the player. I don't go messing on the mind. Don't go messing on the mind. Me lover, me darling, me lover, me lover, me lover, me lover, me lover. Let's have a good time. Oh no, oh no, oh no. Oh, let's have a good time. Oh no, oh no. You lover. Oh. Let me hear you sing one for me. I want to hear you sing. Oh, let's have a good time. Me darling, me lover, me lover, me lover, me lover, me darling. Oh, let's have a good time. Oh no, oh no. Oh, let's have a good time. Evil.
Me lover, the Lord Nelson, he said he ain't old, he right. It's Friday night, felt like some loving up, me lover, a little bit of political message there, you know. We too jealous and suspicious. Are we messing up your mind? Let we get together. We don't be jealous and suspicious. We messing up we mind with all this jealousy and suspicious and who should be this and we should be. We too jealous and suspicious. It's outrageous and ridiculous. But good for Goosey was good for Gander too. We love her, me love her. You know, we partying, but it got the political message. It's so amusing, how we abusing and accusing. It's so confusing. Me love her. Yes, we calling all the lovers on the opposition side to stop the abusing and accusing because it's so confusing for our people, the way how we messing up we mind. So me love her, me love her, me love her. We are the only people in the whole wide world who does party and throw political hints at the same time, and who does be singing and dancing to politics. We bad like that. We bad like that. You know, are you able? You know, are you able? Me love her. Stop the abusing and accusing because it's confusing. It's confusing. Inter Beniba, make Washiba take notice. Good evening to you. It's Saturday night, Friday night, not Saturday night. I jump in the gun. I jump in the gun. You got to get Friday before Saturday. Friday night, Dr. Vincent Adams is here not to cuss and abuse and accuse, but to come together in love. Good evening to all of you. Good evening to you, Flash Gordon. Good evening to you, Mr. David. You know, when Islanders, you know, Grenadian, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, they kill me dead with them. We use it in Guyana, but in the islands, they think, and they never said, you the Mr. David. You the Mr. David. Good evening to all my Grenadian friends and St. Lucian friends. Never said David, you the Mr. David. Well, Flash Garden does say, and no, I come to Mr. David. You the Mr. David, let me remind you, in 19 so, you did say so, and Flash Garden grandmother tell you, when you not get Congo there, though you not look out for rain. Good evening, Flash Gordon. Good evening to all of the people up there in the quarantine coast. Still talking tongues. You not get Congo there, do. You not look for rain. You all young people know where's Congo there? You know where's Congo there? When you grade the cassava and you put them on the zinc and you put it outside to dry fuss before you turn it into starch or you turn it into calves rip. The thing that you and you put it out there for dry fuss, that is Congo tea. One day Congo tea. That I'm talk about the cassava. I say cassava now. I'm going and buy some cassava. No, you buy cassava, right? That's Congo tea. You're out there for dry. When rain set up, your mama, your auntie say, "Bye, girl. Go bring in a Congo tea." We always looking out for see when rain set up because you get Congo tea do. Or when you are the bedding, you all know the bedding. Them thing I used to sleep on, because everybody can't fit on the bed. And you're bedding there. First thing you wake up in the morning, you put your bedding outside for dry. And you look for when rain set up, because you can bring in your bedding. If you not get bedding, or if you not get Congo tea, you not look for rain. You not look for rain. Unfortunately, in Guyana, we get Congo tea, so we gotta look for rain. Good evening to all of you. Just some little old time talk and so on. It's Friday night. Why not? Good evening to all of you who are joining us. So, West Bobbies, East Coast of Demerara, my lovely people from Buxton. Oh my goodness, you know, they called me yesterday, Dr. Hines. You know, and Nigerians always say, David, when you come in the country, you just bring trouble. Because when you come, they're always locking up somebody. And in Buxton, they say, well, David, when you come, a dead you bring, because Lord of mercy. In the village, they're dead and dead. When me have been there in the last couple of months. So they called me. My friend, they called me yesterday morning. They say, I tell you, you better come. Because you not come, they get 5 dead at Buxton. You better come to cut down all this dead. My condolences to all the people, my neighbor my neighbor, Andy Uriel, Ital, them call them ladder. That is them young people. Ladder. He not that good. He Baba Taya. How do we grow up, Baba, Baba, a Rolly Taya. He said Papa Taya. Name left for him, Papa Taya. My good friend passed away. Good friend and neighbor, Andy Uriel. My really good friend. I saw him a couple of months ago. He had been ailing but fighting. But he finally succumbed. My condolence to all the relatives and thing. And then my big lady friend Carmen, oh Lord, Carmen, Baghdad side friendship, Baghdad side people. Dennis Booker, me try to behave myself. I called the boy, said the boy was tall and they call him ladder. Now you say they call it tall puss. I deliberately did not say that because I am on my program. And I have to behave decent. Yes, they used to call it tall puss. Box not the only place, You get 5 false name. 5, depending on which company you're in. 5 false name. Ladder, tall puss, Papa Taya. My condolences to the relatives of Carmen. Carmen passed away. I passed by to see her a couple of months ago when I was there, and as usual, she was in high spirits and remind me of me not get day clean now. Long time I used to come Sunday morning and drop off day clean. But why I not get day clean no more? You read Buddy George because he used to come here and drop off day clean. I will sit down and laugh, gag. And when he left, he got left day clean and left a freck. I mean, Carmen never make joke with your freck. She was very clear in her mind. Man must left a freck. Man must left a freck. Oi. And my condolences to all the others, the Newton family, and all the other families there in Buxton who have lost loved ones, the Willis family. My condolences to all of you. But we who are left here must continue the struggle. We continue the struggle. Nowadays, long time you say, me not dead yet. Bam, bam, me not dead yet. Me not dead yet. Bam, bam, me not dead yet. She not dead yet. Them a fight for legacy. Bam, bam, not dead yet. Well, nowadays, old people are dying. Lord, without leaving 20 legacy. Oh my goodness. Bam bam, me not dead yet. Me not dead yet. Them a fight for legacy, They fight for a little money. In long time, at least them old people so dead and left something in a bank book. Well, now with the $41, where they give them $41,000, they not get much for left in a bank book. There's politics in everything. Good evening to all of you from Plaisance, a special place. Plaisance is East Coast, so it's country. But Plaisance like a tongue. Country and tongue at the same time. So good evening to all you wonderful people. Plaisance, Dr. Vincent Adams. Marriage by Plaisancian by marriage. Good evening to you, Wayne Caesar. Good evening to all of you on the East Coast and the East Bank, and all of you from Georgetown, Kitty, and all the little parts of Georgetown. Good evening. How about you up there in Linden? Mackenzie, Wismar. let me bring in Dr. Thing, because you'll get trouble if me and say Christian Borg.
No question.
Good evening, Christian Borg. Good evening. I have Dr. Adams here from Christianborg.
That is right. That is right. From Christianborg. No question. You cannot. Hey, I'm glad you've got it imprinted on your mind here now, Dr. Hines. That's a famous, and I keep telling folks, the 2 out of the 5 leaders of the PNCR are from Christianborg. As a matter of fact, Norton and Corbin grew up right next to each other in the same alley. I don't know if it's the water or what. And it so happened that myself and the Prime Minister grew up in the same alley too. Mark Phillips.
Mark. Till see me Darius in Buxton, Langton. She not say Mark, people not say Mark. Mark, what you want? Mark, you want some corn flour? Twist them, turn them corn flour. you ever had to put out bedding?
You make a joke. I remember. Look here. I got even better story than that. I had an uncle. I've never seen anybody as neat as this man. You know, but when you make your bed and it's little pieces of thing.
Yes.
When you go to make up your bed, the man is fitted like a puzzle. All of them little pieces gotta fit. He ain't just throwing it down like hard. He would get down and then he would kind of press it with the hand, and it gotta fit like a quilt. All we went through them kinds of things. The other thing we had to put out to the top there I miss them kinds of things was you remember you planting, you dry out your planting for make, and then you make porridge with it.
Yes. You put them for dry too. Yes.
You put your planting for dry too.
Yes.
And your job was to see when rain or fall. So if you miss it, you then serious trouble.
That's right. But how you all used to make out in Linden, Mackenzie, Linden there, because sun, hot. And then all of a sudden,
suddenly it rain.
Rain come down. Rain has set up there, you come down.
You got to run. You got
to run for catch the bedding.
How you mean? Yeah, man.
Lynette reminding me here. Yes, Lynette, I forgot Sister Norma Lewis, Miss Thomas' daughter that they married to teacher Hector Lewis. Yes, Sister Norma died there in Maryland. I forgot, only this morning I was talking with my brother and my sister. And Sister Norma burying today. She burying today, girl. Yes, she buried today. And the Battersfield, again from Maryland, the little Battersfield by Brother Clevey and Candace Battersfield son. He burying tomorrow in Maryland. Me sister and brother, they called me last night. You coming to Maryland? Me said, no, me coming to Maryland and you all ain't gonna know. Well, somebody call and tell them me coming from Maryland. Me said, what they get in Maryland? They said they get federal today and tomorrow. Me said, well, people, when me there in boxing, me don't miss federal. So people obviously must assume me not there boxing, so me don't come for them funeral there in Maryland. There people calling them and tell them me coming to Maryland. Yes, my condolences to the Battersfield family, to the Lewis family / Thomas. Thank you very much, Changi. Changi, but you there, Anidel, and but all them dead boxing. You, as Changi people would say, Doc, Congo Creole, one by one. See them go away, one by one. Congo Creole, one by one. See them go away, one by one. For you young people, one by one mean one by one. And Congo Creole. Nowadays you have Creole study that. Well, you must know about that.
Yeah.
That's Creole study. Well, them Anidel people, long before Creole studied in university, they call themselves Creole. Congo Creole. Right? And for you young people, Creole is the African who came to the Caribbean became West Indian. The African became through creolization. First of all, the Igbo married the Yoruba and become Creole, like they become African now, as I would say, African now. And the Congo married the Coromantee and turned African. So the creolization start from the African tribe to the African nation. And then, them Chinese man come without wife. So them a thing with black wife. And they make black Chinese. And them Portuguese man, they come without wife. So they make black Portuguese. And then after all of it up on the plantation, Indian woman and Indian man get together and they make Douglas. And they get straight hair Douglas and hard hair Douglas. Right? All right? That is the creolization. It's the process from Africa, from Yoruba and Congo to becoming a West Indian. So Chinese them at Annandale pasture, I would say Congo pasture too, they trace their heritage back to the Congos. And they used to call themselves Congo Creole. The rest of we beat drum with hand, them a beat drum with stick. You ever see that?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, the Congo, them a beat the drum with stick, and so on. Oh Lord, when you see your God, when you see dead thing, oh Lord Jesus Christ. Lynette McCann. Me can't sing some of them cuss singing while you used to. Archie, Muma, so and so, blow. Doc, our people had so much wisdom. The term Creole, they created it, We got scholars now writing big thesis and book on the creolization. But I grew up hearing those people call themselves, and then I said Creole is for the white man. They say Congo Creole.
Yes. No, I even Creole used to be everything that is related to the way we grew up and to our heritage and culture used to be that the word Creole used to be used quite a bit. You remember even Creole food. That was Creole food.
Creole fowl.
Creole fowl. That's right. I forgot about Creole. I forgot about Creole fowl. So I forgot about Creole fowl. Yeah.
Yeah. I was on a program with Ravi Dev and them the other night. I think somebody did come over. And he's trying to make fun of David is talking about kumbaya. I said, hello. I come from a kumbaya culture.
Yeah.
Don't diss kumbaya.
Yeah.
Do not diss kumbaya.
Yep.
And that is it. And I think people like you are well poised to really tell the story. Because one of the problems we have in Guyana is that, especially the elites, the black elites don't understand anything about Indians. And Indian elites don't understand much about black because they never live.
Yeah.
Right? They don't understand. Right? And he gonna watch me and Vincent Alexander, two proud black men, and make fun of the word kumbaya. It's what you call racial insensitivity.
Absolutely. And not only proud but accomplished. Because they don't think, you see, they use those things derogatorily because of the color of your skin to denigrate you, who you are, and to associate this blackness with negativity. That's what they do all the time. Yeah, I mean, they really don't. Especially if you're an accomplished person, they want to, to dilute it
Yeah,
somehow
yeah,
to bring you down to where they don't think that you belong. You
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. Me want tell them, say me no born with silver spoon in my mouth. Me no born with doctor behind my name. Me born in a kumbaya culture. And when me people they start sing kumbaya, they're making fun. They're not joking.
Yeah.
And I am not tolerating anybody, whether you're black, brown, Indian, Portuguese, or Chinese, for take you, I pass the notion of kumbaya. Because kumbaya is a notion. Someone's crying, Lord, kumbaya.
Yeah.
It's a mourning song. It's a song of hope. It's a concept. The kumbaya concept is a concept of togetherness, and hope and love. And you of another ethnic group sit there and want to make fun of it. Understand God every day. That my auntie sent me to school for read book, but more than that, in the village, we were allowed to go when they have cultural sessions. And sometimes I just ask some of the boxing people who they never talk politics, and all the time I will grow up. I mean, see them, Dennis Booker, all of them, they know more politics than me. And they just say, but really, how we gonna live in boxing? Are you there with politics day, morning, noon, and night? And we don't know about politics. And they would point us right back to our village where we were always doing politics and doing culture and so on. You know, even one of the girl there with the PPP, Twilly, yes. You know Mr. Scamp, yes. you know Scamp don't see a hustle that they don't want me say yes. But me there with you, no matter if me hustle me say yes. And who teach me for wrap me head with cloth? Me say yes. Now, brother, you see, teach me for say jambo, me say yes. And now you teach me for dance, me say yes. So when me loyalty go there, me say, all right, here I'm gonna do. Oslo, you dal, but don't bring those people in here, like what I'm doing at the village. Don't bring them here. But if you bring them here, me and you go fall out, and we make the deal. Oslo, you Oslo as an individual. Do not, because me not teach you for wrap your head with cloth, for become a traitor. You can hustle because you say you're a scamp, right? And a scamp will not see a hustle. And the point I'm making there, Doc, is culture matters, eh?
Yep.
And part of the problem with some of our African people is that they're not grounded in culture.
Yep. And Dr. Hines, and and that's why I admire folks like yourself. But to me, the most fundamental value in us that basically have made us successful is to never forget where you came from. That is a value that we should never give up. So when you stand up to people like Ravi Dev and those folks, you're telling them, here, this is where I came from. You is that pride. I'm going to give you a story, Dr. Hines. When I was doing my PhD in engineering, well, of course, if you know as well as I do, the PhD classes in engineering and science are predominantly foreigners, Asians, and
Yes,
China.
yes.
So, and so we dominate. They had this award, Dr. Hines. They had an award called the Ebony Award for the best PhD student, the best minority PhD student in engineering. You hear what is called Ebony? Do you know that I won that award and I refused to go accept it? I told them I want because I know that I was the best student, period. But again, they don't want to recognize you as the best student when they've got other folks outside the minority group that you're ahead of. So they had this award and I refused to go accept it. I refused to accept it. I said, if you're gonna make it the best student, the best graduating student award, I will accept it, but I'm not going to accept any Ebony award. But those are the kinds of things that that we need to keep that pride in the community and to represent that community from where we came from.
Yes, good evening to all of you who joining us. Mary, I saw after the program last night, Mary F. You were asking if I'm in Guyana. No, I'm not in Guyana. And may heart upon me, because Christmas is a time me does always there in Guyana, rain, sun, or snow. But this year Christmas, my family they tell me you come in a big buy, and you got to spend Christmas with your mama and your nephew and nieces them, and beg Guyana to allow you this Christmas to spend it. So I haven't gone home in a couple of months. And so on. So I am not in Guyana. You might see me change up my little background and so on. When we get, as we were saying in the village, you get little money in you. When you can put away, and when you cook, they say you remember that they say you get little money in you, and so on. So when you see Mary, you see me change up the background and thing. Now me get little lady in me. And some of us change up the background from time to time. My friends here in Arizona will tell you they come and visit Professor Sunday. He furniture there one way. You come Monday afternoon, you have to know for the same living room you're there. He spring around their furniture. Professor, you head crazy. Me just tell them when me there in the house and you have nothing to do, you find work for yourself, yeah? So you stand up and you watch the chair there. You say no, you go put that in a different angle, and you start changing up. I was talking to my doctor. My doctor said, "Well, we Americans find a name for everything, and we just call it an illness. It don't mean you're sick. It just means you have a phobia."
And that's right, a phobia.
Doctor.
Uh-huh.
We have to talk about education, because we've been talking about the budget a lot, and we've been talking about the cost of living, we've been talking about poverty, we've been talking about infrastructure and so on. But as you have said, I have said on this program over and over again, thank God. Thank God for education. Thank God for education. Thank God for education.
Yep.
Had it not been for education, you, me, all of us would not have been where we did. And when we talk about education, we talk about broad education, not just the formal education. Because I grew up in a village in which you had to fight hard to be dunce. You had to fight hard to be a duncified goat. You had to fight hard to be a dunce. Not because the education that we got was a sterling education, because it was a colonial education, but it was the drive of our people. That when you not get mama, you saw granny, and that when you get lime, you make lime swank. You not just clean fish with lime. You not just use lime for things. You get 50 different things you can do with lime. So I'm talking here about those of us who have the certified education, but there are those who have the technical education. Doctor, if they put me, maybe you, because I use a mathematician, when they put me for dig a grave, the dead go come and the grave out. Because I have no sense of, what Mr. Wilson said, diametrics. I have no sense of diametrics and so on. There are people who don't have certification, but you put them for dig a grave. You put them for things. The sense of mathematics and diametrics, as Master Wilson used to say. You see, All them lady who were doing nursing in Brooklyn and Washington and so on. You put me catch jail the next day because I give people wrong medicine. We go joke them the wrong place and so on. Education. Whether it's technical education, they call it vocational education now. Whatever the education get all our ras here.
Yeah.
Education get all our ras here. Compton, older, good night, my brother. Understand you get dead in your family. Somebody in my brother George was trying to direct me, and I think I finally realized who the person is in Delaware, your family that died. Compton said, Doc, I still remember some of the songs I learned at County High School. Yes, Kanyama. That's the African name. You put Compton all day, but the African name is Kanyama. Right? Kanyama. All we were in Tutashinda. You learn culture. You learn African language. You learn African song. That's what we're talking about. At brother school, County High School. Me never been to County, but me live near County. And County had nice girls. My children mother from County. By name Errington, give me that girl, Errington King. Brother UC nephew. So me have come from Frontside School and me gone to County. Because County get nice girls. And the culture. And the culture. Thanks Kanyama for reminding me of those days. Yes, education, Doc.
Yeah.
What you make of the Carter Woodson write that book, The Miseducation of the Negro.
Yeah.
And I think that applies to Guyana, miseducation of Guyanese. Because what we have seen under the PPP is a considerable decline of education outcomes in Guyana. Now, I'm not saying it started under the PPP, but it galloped under the PPP. And you have some thoughts on that. Talk to us.
Yes. Again, and even in a developed country as the probably the most developed country in the world, education is the number one pillar of building an economy. That's a fact. And we made that part of our mantra when we had the World Economic Crisis in 2008, because we always used to say it's infrastructure. You build it, they're going to come. And then when we compared, because we were looking at India to be the next superpower in the world, because India had 10 times the infrastructure as China. And so we were in a shock when China became the next superpower. And then when we had schools like Harvard and MIT, Sloan did the research, it was because of education. And every single major company in the United States knows that. The one thing that attracts them to invest, it's a good education system, because then you have a reliable workforce. And so that's what we need. Now it's turned totally backwards in Guyana. They're still in the old paradigm of you build it, they're going to come. We see it in the budget. They don't want to give the teachers a fair raise for them to have a living wage, but they're investing. They're putting everything into infrastructure, and they're wasting out of that $738 billion, 53%, Dr. Hines, unheard of in any country that is worth its salt. 53% of that money is put into infrastructure, and 41% of it, 41% is going to waste it. I didn't say that. You didn't say that. The IMF said that 41% of that 53% is going into almost, was that over $300 billion is wasted. But then you cannot give the teachers, give them an extra $15 billion or so to give them a livable wage. That's what we're dealing with. So we're pushing aside the most important thing. And when we look at the outcomes, Dr. Hines, and people have to, a metric a simple metric, the matriculation rate of our students when they took office, when the PNCR took office, it was 49%. 49% when they took office, almost 50%. I'm not saying that's enough. It should have been higher. Do you know what it is today? This came from themselves in their budget. It is 26%. 26%. And then they're projecting, an accomplishment for them to be projecting 28% for in this year's budget. Now, if you don't want something as basic as that as a metric, what else? It's just again they don't care. But they've developed their only interest is to develop a country of hustlers here. Is who can fill their pockets as fast as possible. That's what they're doing. They're waving these, a bunch of, just they're even bragging that, well, all of these construction work that people are doing. So people are leaving agriculture, and to them it doesn't mean anything, which is, that's the major problem that, when we call, the Dutch disease. That's the Dutch disease when people are migrating from your basic economy. Haven't we learned from Nigeria and those other countries? But they're still talking about it. Well, I saw up to today, I think it was the agriculture minister, because of their agriculture, and I think mining and interior went down. He said, well, people are migrating towards the oil industry. Well, you should have known that's why you should have to set up the systems. Same thing with sugar. You know that we're not making any money off of sugar. It's bad. Okay, start retraining people, which is what the coalition was doing. But it's okay, you just take it for what it is, that people are migrating towards the oil industry. So it's damaging not only the economy, but even the education of the people, because then they have no foundation to go. If the oil industry goes bust, and I've been there, Dr. Hines, I worked in the oil industry. I worked in Texas, and when oil was 150, we were spending like drunken sailors. We were predicting that oil would have been $200 a barrel. You know what it went to in my time? From 150, you know what it went to, Doctor? $10 a barrel.
Yes.
10. I remember that you could have gone and bought a house in Houston with your credit card for $5,000 or $10,000. You couldn't get a U-Haul. It was a one-way traffic out of Houston. I wish I'd invested. If I had the money, I would have invested in a lot of stuff in Houston. But that's what you could be destroyed come next year or a few years from now. I'm not trying to scare people, but that's what the oil business is. And don't worry with all these predictions and stuff. It's difficult to predict what oil is going to be, because that's what you all you want to do is get a war in the Middle East or something, and all hell could break loose. So, but getting back, so when you're in education, you prepare your country for anything. I don't care what the situation is. If you've got an educated country, the investors are going to come, and especially when the cost of your labor is much more competitive than the developed countries, they're going to come to an educated society. But they've got this whole thing turned around, and they don't care, because if you're going to drop from 49% to 26%, and you really don't care, it just went by you. You mention it in your budget, and it just goes by. There is something wrong. It's because of the incompetence of this government. And, I think the coalition has made it clear that education will be a major pillar. And, the thing is, Dr. Hines, the hypocrisy in these guys, these were the same people who came up with a free education from kindergarten right through university. And then they abolished free university education in 1994. And now they're taking credit. I could not believe, over and over through this budget exercise, these guys are getting up there and say, we introduced free education in Guyana. And they're doing that, Dr. Hines, because they know that most of the people, most of the population were born, they don't know what happened between 1994 and now. So they're that age where they've missed what happened in 1994 when the PPP government took office. So we have got to educate the people, and some of our MPs did. We have got to keep educating the people that it's propaganda that they're spreading, that they introduce free education. There was free education that you and I enjoyed, that all of those politicians on the PPP side that got up there and spout, this nonsense, they were educated under that free education system. But now, because they were pressured and because of the elections coming up, they decided to offer this free education as a gimmick. It's a good thing, but still, they're misrepresenting history or want to rewrite the history. They abolished free education. And on top of that, I've said they should compensate all of those thousands of people like you and I that used to sleep on beddings, that could not have afforded to go to university because it wasn't free. You and I would have been, if we did not have free education, where would we have been, Dr. Hines? How many thousands of people were denied an education to get where we are, or even beyond where we are, because they abolished free education in 1994? That they should even be compensating those people. And if not them, they should be compensating their offsprings, their children and grandchildren, because they have also denied them. Because if your parents cannot afford, they don't have a good job, then their children and grandchildren, it flows right down. They will not have been able to afford a good life. So they affected not only the people that were denied at our age, but the other people that came behind. But education is you and I know, and like the great Dr. Martin Luther King always say, education is the great equalizer. It is the great equalizer. That's what forms the gap. That was what lessens the gap between the rich and the poor, to make life equal so that everybody. But now it's just putting money in their friends' pocket. That's what this whole infrastructure thing is about. It's to put money in their friends' pocket, because the lantern posts are falling down. The roads are biscuit roads. They're wasting 41%, as according to the IMF. They're wasting 41% of it. They don't even want to give the teachers a living wage. So they have no interest in education. That's not where. And I'm hoping, Dr. Hines, that this budget debate, it has formed the battle line, and we in the opposition need to draw that line clearly to people, that this government is all for the rich, and the opposition should make it clear that what the opposition should be in for is to lessen that gap between the rich and the poor, to bring the standard of living of the poor folks upward with the basics: food, education, health, basic electricity, water. Those are the kinds of things that we need to draw the line to say, here's where we stand, and here's where they stand. And that line, to me, Dr. Hines, is clear, except that we need to make that line visible and clear to the voters.
Visible and clear to the voters. Good evening to all of you who are joining us this evening, this night. It's a Friday night. Dr. Vincent Adams is here. We're talking education tonight because it's one of the things that has gotten forgotten by the PPP. You know, my mother celebrated her 85th birthday a couple of days ago, and we were chatting, and she was reminding me that when she migrated to the United States in the 60s, she lived not two blocks from Howard University, so she had to go and catch the bus in front of her there. And she said she used to watch these beautiful black young people, and they used to use all kind of big words. She said one big word. Here they used to use theory. Me say, "Mommy, that is a small word." She said, "It's a big word." Because me, they understand what you mean. But me know it's a very important word, theory. It's only recently, when them program this, she come close now to understand what theory mean. But she made up her mind that one she picked them go learn what theory mean, because they're going to go to Howard University.
Yeah.
You know, She hadn't studied where the money coming from, but you see how those people were thinking? Huh? In her head, the epitome of brightness is if you can know what theory is. And she see these black children at the bus stop there. They might talk about theory. She said, me picnic, one of me picnic, gonna talk theory too. Right?
Yep.
And that was the planting of the seed. I happened to be the lucky picnic that went to Howard University. And my mama didn't know what theory mean, but me know what theory mean. And I can teach other people what theory means. That is what it means. Our people have always, and they continue to have, education on their minds. Whether they quote unquote educated or not, education in minds. And if you're a society cannot take the dreams of your people and turn them into reality, that is what we are in politics to do. To take the dreams of our people and turn them into reality. And our people cannot dream beyond what they see before them. And when they look at what they see before them, they know education is one of the way for break down the gate. And that when you broke down the gate, you break it down not for yourself only, because that's something we got to talk to our Guyanese poor people about. You make sacrifices to them picnic. They go university, they get education, and they're gonna live in Georgetown, or they're gonna live in them big mansion in Diamond and forget their mama and their daddy at Golden Grove and Christianburg and so on. And education must be for liberation of all of us. Doc, along with education is healthcare. We learned recently about the high rate of malnutrition in our country. You know, under this government, the rate of malnutrition has gone up. And there's a linkage between health and education. Talk to us.
Well, let me just to bring us back. Just what I should have mentioned also, bring us closer back to home, the reality. And as they say, Dr. Hines, you don't take what is a candlestick for light candle in the night where you could see in daytime.
You don't take fire stick at night time for go look for where you can see at daytime.
In the daytime. Do you know? And I was a little by them time coming up, starting engineering and stuff like that. And when the PNC was in office, there was we were begging for them to set up a mining campus of the university again in Linden. There couldn't have been any better place.
Yes.
It never occurred. Do you know what happened as soon as the PNC got into office in 1992? Where did they build the first campus? At WIM. The first university campus. PPP. Sorry, the PPP. When they got into office, they built a campus in when the PNC was in office up to recently, because I was involved. We set up a team under Vice Chancellor Griffith. He brought me on board to help out. A lot of people don't even know we set up a petroleum engineering department at the University of Guyana. We had several meetings with the University of Trinidad and Tobago, UWI, that have established programs already. We did not have the facilities in Guyana, such as labs, so we decided to piggyback on their program. We established that program. We had a plan. We even established the fee structures, how much time that people are gonna spend in Guyana, the students, and how much time they're gonna spend in Trinidad, and the professors who are gonna be coming to Guyana to teach courses in Guyana, back and forth, etc. The curricula for every subject, and that program was supposed to have been started in 2020. I don't know. And by the way, you could go from you can get admitted and start from an associate degree all the way to a PhD, Dr. Hines. You know, until now, they've been in office for 4+ years. Today, as a matter of fact, Mr. Barrett the natural resources minister was asked that question, what happened to that program? He couldn't answer. He said basically, he said, well, what you guys, all you're trying to do is try to impress people that you did something. Well, that program was put in place before oil even was even produced. So it was a proactive program to get there. So he's discarding it and say, well, we're moving forward. Do you know what they did, Dr. Hines? That program was put in place in Georgetown now, in Georgetown, at the University of Guyana. You know what they did? Obviously, since you're not hearing about it, that program has been scrapped. Do you know where the oil and gas program is situated today, Dr. Hines? Port Moran.
Yes.
Port Moran.
Yes, with a great training school there, yes.
And he discarded, when the question was asked today by MP Holder, he discarded it and started going off and said that you guys didn't do anything or we're moving forward. He was bragging about 24 students who's now graduating from the Port Moran school to be going and working in the oil industry. But he ain't saying nothing about the University of Guyana. Now you tell me, Linden didn't get the mining school that we wanted. As soon as they got into office, boom, the campus, whim. Then here comes oil and gas.
Doc, we get some geography scholars here. And they're reminding us it's not Wim where Moses come from, Wim Bloomfield, but the school that Tain.
Okay, well, I always call it
Same all too. But
yeah,
Wim is on the road. Wim is on the road. Wim is staying. It's staying.
Okay, good. Well, Tain. I know why do I call it Wim?
You are mounting Moses too much. Moses a Wim by.
But anyway, at least our listener there, that is the message that is sent.
Yes.
We in the black communities or the PNCR constituencies in Linden, in Georgetown of all places where the main campus is, where the program was established, you just push that aside and set up a program at Port Moran. So all of the one campus outside of Georgetown is at Tain, and the second learning institution, which is the major, for the major industry, oil and gas, is set up, guess where? At Port Moran. Mm-hmm. And here it is. They came in there and they met a program at the University of Guyana that was already established, of high credibility because it was piggybacked onto the two established programs in UWI and University of Trinidad and Tobago. But anyway, the health. Dr. Hines, here is another statistic for you. The malnutrition rate increased. The rate increased by over 400%, from 0.1% to 0.5%, Dr. Hines. That's 400%.
Wow.
But you see, these are the kinds of things that we need to be talking about up there in the opposition. So that's a metric. But we going ahead. Here's the other thing: we're going ahead, building 12 hospitals. Nobody ain't got no problems with building hospitals and in those type of things to facilitate good health. But if you got 700 nurses short, who's gonna be manning these hospitals? And at the same time, it was only about a year or two ago, they were crying out about the shortage of nurses, and they shut down the Linden Nursing School. Shut down the Linden Nursing School. And now they're crying out, you've got 700 nurses short, but you're building 12 hospitals. And these 12 hospitals, we see what happened with West Demerara Hospital, where rats are infesting the hospitals. We saw here up to recently, Dr. Hines, that doctor at Temeri with the president. There's no Panadol. The toilet ain't working. The water ain't working. So that is, it doesn't make any sense, Dr. Hines. So you're going to build these hospitals, and what are they really going to be? But you know what happened, Dr. Hines? Anytime these guys get a cold, they jump on a plane and they're out of the country at the taxpayer's expense. So they really don't care what people they're taking care of. If they have to suffer the consequences, if there's a law that says that they have got to take medical care in Guyana, we would not have been seeing this. It would have been totally different. So, so, so that's what. So that's the bottom line is the selfishness and taking care of themselves, and to hell with with the people.
And the question of priority, I was talking to one of my old people friend recently, retire. She was a caregiver in America, and she retired now, so she spent some of her time, half of her time at home, and she spent half on. She was telling me, she said, me not able every year, me go for a jump on plane for go back America. Me not pilot. Me not pilot. She said, me not pilot. When people like, they hear your wisdom, me not pilot. Me not pilot. I want me retire, me want to stay, but why me can't stay? Because me gotta go for my treatment. Me gotta go for my checkup.
And if there's an emergency, you don't got nobody to who's gonna take care. I don't know if you remember this guy, our late Dr. Kite. I don't know if you remember Dr. Kite, one of the biggest educators, international educators. So Dr. Kite would belong, he was part of our Linden Fund USA. So every year we used to take them on an education mission where we have teachers workshop for like 2 months, where we have over 100 teachers, and it's train the train. He trained the teachers with new techniques and stuff. Dr. Hines went home one day, and he forgot his luggage at the airport, Linden. He forgot, so he took a bus, go to the airport to pick up his luggage. And when he was coming back, the bus ran out, those minibus ran off into a creek, got into the creek, and his whole lungs and everything was filled with water. He was in that hospital. It happened that afternoon. He was in that hospital all night, all day next morning. Fortunately, I had to make a call, make a very important call. And they sent an ambulance, because in the meantime, they said they can't do anything. He's just got to stay there. They're going to send an ambulance. I called, and a certain person was kind enough. They sent an ambulance up to Linden, and picked him up, got to Georgetown, and he didn't survive. He died. What happened is we got him out of there, brought him to Houston, to at a specialized hospital. And by the time we got him to Houston, he passed away as soon as he arrived, because he had picked up another disease at the Georgetown Hospital. So by the time we got him on a plane, and in the meantime, it's days now, and they're pussyfooting around, just signing paper to get him out of the country. By the time he arrived in Houston, he spent maybe a couple hours, and he passed away. But that is the situation, that there's no, when you have an emergency, you don't have any place to go except for the ministers and those people in cabinet. They don't even wait for that. They've got all their medical checks and everything outside the country every few months. And as soon as they get a little cold, they're on a plane to their doctors in Florida and Aberdeen and all over the place.
Yes, and that's it. You spending all this money on hospitals, which are important. You have to have hospitals, but you're not spending money on the care that people need to get the necessary technology. Because if you're going to get the technology to deal with these illnesses that we have fly outside with, then you have to train the people. So you have to up your game when you're training your doctors, training your nurses, your pharmacists, etc., etc., etc. So it's a whole system you have to put in place. And maybe these people are so lazy, or they don't care, that they can't think. As I said, that lady told me she would prefer not to be flying up to America every year. She get old now. She said, me want to say, when me fly go America 1-2 times a year, me not pilot. Me not pilot.
And Dr. Hines, it's a mixture of they don't care and incompetence, because one of the fundamental principles of management is retention of your employees. Okay, we have nurses and teachers, two fundamental sectors of our economy: healthcare, education, and they are just leaving. Even when they get trained, they're gone because they're in demand, even in the Caribbean and all over the rest of it. You know what shocked me? What shocked me is when I heard, I think the vice president says, well, when the question was asked, well, what happened? What are we doing about people leaving? He said, well, that's expected. Now, if I said something like that in the US government, I'll be fired immediately, because one of my rating criteria is how do we retain staff, meaning develop staff and retain staff. They really don't care. They're saying, well, okay, we're going to spend whatever money we spend to let them get the experience, and it's expectations that they're going to go. That is why over 80% of the University of Guyana graduates leave the country. Now, how could you sustain an economy like that? 80% of your university graduates leave the country, and that's okay. And now you want to bring in people from Bangladesh and Sri Lanka and India and those places. Tell me, tell me. I mean, tell me if what is right about that? What is right about that? Nothing, unless you've got your, know exactly what you're doing in terms of motive.
I mean, look, the other night I was on that program with Ravi Devon. Then the moderator was my countryman, Paris Bay.
Okay.
Malcolm's son.
And Kojo,
yes. Yes, not Kojo.
I know Zu.
By his name. But anyhow, he's in Guyana. He's moderating this program. The rest of Vincent get a little lamp. We just use venting. But for 3/4 of that program, this is a program that's beamed to the world because we are now in modern times.
Yes.
We have social media. But our moderator who's in Guyana, he face can't show because there is blackout in his country, which is the fastest growing economy in the world. Yet on a simpler program, the moderator, we can't see him because we have blackout. And I sitting down there, I feel so shame. I feel so shame. We got to school the next day. The next day I got to school, and my students who, them students now, you teach them will Google you.
That's right.
They're there on the program. Dr. Hines, we couldn't see the moderator's face because they didn't understand where it's blackout. So they couldn't. Yeah. And he came on until later. He had some problems with his phone or his computer.
But Dr. Hines, you're lucky that they didn't see. But you're lucky that they did not see what happened in Parliament. Was it last night?
Last night.
In Parliament of all, here they are debating electricity. And we got blackout.
I felt so ashamed. My students, because the class I'm teaching on Caribbean culture, so they're mostly children of Caribbean parents, and so they're interested. So they find out that I just dabble in politics and so on. So they come on to the program. I didn't even know they were coming on until they asked me what was wrong with the moderator. Was his phone or computer wasn't working properly?
So what did you tell them?
I tell them it's a long story. Later on in the course, when we come to deal with the complexities of economic development.
And this was Dr. Hines, and this here is with, guess what, Dr. Hines? This here is with 2 ships, with 2 power supply ships that we're spending. Patterson knows the numbers, but we're spending an astronomical amount of money for 2 ships. And if you recall, they promised that the blackouts would have been finished since the end of 2023. They were on record saying that the end of 2023, not 24, and we are still suffering blackouts in Parliament. Imagine we're debating we debating in Parliament the budget and electric, the reliability of electricity and everything, and boom, you get a blackout.
And I have to teach my children that, look, it's $1.3 trillion is the budget of my country.
It's 1.4. It's close because 1.382, so it's closer to 1.4.
And got to tell them the reason the moderator couldn't come on is because we had power outage. And that the power outage wasn't because of some accident. It's normative. It's normative. Oh, you make me work harder. How do I explain that to young people? How do I explain that to children of Caribbean people who are glad to hear that a Caribbean country is one of the fastest growing economy in the world? They build themselves up now. I got to tell them that blackout is a staple. Power outage is a staple. When you get a power outage in America where they live, it's because you had a hurricane or something.
Yep.
Indeed, we get a hurricane in Guyana, and the hurricane is the PPP.
Yep.
And that's why we got to get those people out, of them. They're putting our people at risk, and they're shaming us in the rest of the world. Doctor, they've been talking this week about building capacity in the oil industry. Talk to us about what the story is about.
Well, they're being very, very disingenuous, of course. Like I said, the coalition had a lot of things in place. I told you about the University of Guyana program that we set up at the EPA itself. The EPA, we had set up we went to the World Bank. The World Bank brought in an export. We paid $1 million, brought in an export from Mexico through the Mexican ambassador. The coalition set up a Department of Energy. We all worked together. We set up a petroleum unit at the EPA, and we were going to go out and hire, because we couldn't find the expertise in Guyana, of course. A 36-member team, 36 of highly specialized petroleum professionals to start the program. We're going to start with 36, at least 5 to 10 years of experience in addition to their specialized degrees. And when the coalition left office, they abandoned that program that we had in place. We were planning on going out and start recruiting in 2020. They abandoned it in 2020, and nothing ever happened. For the past 5 years, Dr. Hines, they do not have a single person at the EPA, not a single person with not even a minute of training in oil and gas. So when we talk about oversight, nobody at the EPA knows anything about oversight. Whatever Exxon brings, they rubber stamp it and it goes. So that is why we are in this dilemma. And if that program was put in place, the World Bank program, we would have had a mature group, a mature team of people who would have been on board the FPSO 24/7, and of course understanding the operations, and be able to ask the right questions and make sure that we get information in real time. We're not having any of that. And then we even had a study leave program at the EPA where folks can go study and you come back and you serve for 5 years. So all of this talk about this gold program. And I would like to see the accreditation. I'm not talking about Guyana accreditation. I'm talking about the international accreditation. Where are these programs accredited? And you cannot do oil and gas by correspondence. Oil and gas is a lot of labs, all kinds of stuff. And we don't have any labs in Guyana. We don't have any petroleum labs or anything in Guyana. So I want to know what these gold programs is about. Instead of investing at the University of Guyana in the petroleum engineering program that we set up, they don't want to do that because, first of all, it's in the wrong place. It's in the opposition stronghold. So they decided to set up that program at Port Morant, and so it's not that I'm knocking the program at Port Morant. We need such a program, but at least give everybody a fair opportunity. Give everybody a fair opportunity. Here you have the University of Guyana. the mecca of our learning institutions in Guyana. And then you're just going to ignore it because it came for us, and then because it's in Georgetown. But you put one at Port Moran, you could have both.
You could have
I mean,
both. Yes,
you could have
yes.
both. But it's just the spitefulness, and it's just the bias towards who they want to be trained. But we have nobody right now, Dr. Hyde, none, who's doing oversight over this petroleum industry. And that they've been out in office for going on 5 years now. So those all the talk they're talking, he himself doesn't even know this. I'm talking about Minister Barrett. Doesn't know what the heck is going on. But they get up there and they spout politics and propaganda. It sounds good to their people, but it doesn't make any sense what they're talking about. So that's the situation we have. And even the contracts, the people ought to know again, up to today again, they got into bashing the coalition for putting in some clauses into the contract. Well, I want to remind people again, there were 10 contracts that were signed, 10, not one, 10. Do you know how many the PPP signed? 9 out of those 10. 9. And all 9 that they signed were signed before the Stabroek Block, the 2016 Stabroek Block. And all 9 of them have the same clause that they bash the opposition for every single day. The stability clause, they put it in there. And all that the 2016 contract did was copy the same clause. But that's not what they're saying. They're saying that the PNCR and the AFC tied their hands by putting those clauses into the 2016 clause, into the 2016 contract. That's a blatant lie. They created those clauses and put them into the first 9 since 1999. The first one was 1999, which is the same Stabroek contract. And then they had 8 more after that they signed. And the last one, of course, was the 2016 that Mr. Trotman signed, that copied the same exact clause. But every time you hear the talk, up to today, they said it, that the opposition put these clauses in there and tied their hands. It's a blatant lie. It's their clauses. It's their
clauses from 1999. Dr. Vincent Adams here, and Vincent, you were right. It's Kojo. Kojo.
Yeah, Kojo, right.
Kojo. I was mixing up Kojo and Quezon and so on. It's Kojo, who was the moderator, but was sitting in blackout in Georgetown and couldn't. My brother, another Friday night come and gone. Happy birthday again. Happy belated birthday to those of you. Doc was missing in action from the cricket field on Sunday. He didn't get to spray up the champagne in the air with me and young Butcher because he was hanging out with the family on his Earth Strong Day. Happy birthday again, my brother. But Sunday, I'm sure you're padding up and right. coming out to face the red ball, the red cherry, as we used to call it.
Absolutely.
So we are going to be on Sunday on West Indies Cricket 101, our sports component of Politics 101, Dr. Vincent Adams, myself, and young Basil Butcher. Basil Butcher Jr., they call him in high class circle, but for now, we in low class circle, we gonna call the young Butcher, young Basil.
That's right. Relative. Everything is relative.
It's relative. So, my brother, thank you again for keeping my company here on a Friday night. You can go now and see if there is any potato bar left, any fish cake left, any black pudding,
Not here. Dr. Hines, tonight is cook up boy.
Oh, yes. You remember they used to put a cook up in a basin, you left half, and you throw so. I later still do that in boxing.
Tonight is cook up and then I'm gonna put my char on it there. All right.
Thank you again, my brother.
Anytime, Dr. Hines.
And to you, the audience, it's Friday night. Thank you all for staying with me another week. And we come back next week, Monday, to witness again for ourselves our freedom, our Guyana. Have a nice weekend. Enjoy what there is to enjoy. Do. You do, but don't overdo. Do, but don't overdo. Because we got work to do.
My lover, I had to mention in my confession to you, my lover, I must discuss what we should and shouldn't do. My lover, a good relation is a relation based on trust. My lover, we too jealous and suspicious, it's outrageous and ridiculous, because we messing up our mind. How we messing up our mind. Sing, oh, let's have a good time. Me lover, me lover. Oh, let's have a good time. Listen, oh, listen to me. Oh, let's have a good time. Me lover, me lover. Oh, let's have a good time. Me lover. I used to worry about you having a second hand. My lover, I need to help me fulfill my duty as a man. My lover, you know it's stupid, we're really stupid, but true. My lover, it's so amusing to hear abusing and accusing. It's so confusing and only messing up my mind. It's only messing up my mind. Me lover, me lover, me lover, me lover, me lover. Let's have a good time. Me lover, me darling. Oh, oh. Let's have a good time. Have a good time. But darling, me lover. Oh, oh, oh.